Kuudere, a fictional character who fits the archetype of often being cold, blunt, and cynical. They may seem very emotionless and stoic on the outside, but on the inside, they're very caring, at least when it comes to the ones they love.
It's that time of year again, which means it's time to celebrate the Day of Love, the only way we know how. With fictional 2D girls! For the past 2 years, we have had a certain tradition when it comes to Valentine's Day. In 2019, we tackled the subject matter of Yanderes with a review of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. In 2020, we reviewed an episode of Hey Arnold, in which we talked about Tsunderes. As you can see, we look through Western cartoons to pick out characters who best fit these character archetypes. With the list of deres being ever so vast, we had a lot of topics to choose from. But in the end, we decided to go with Kuuderes, as we knew immediately who we would be discussing the moment we saw that description. Well, make that 2. You see, the Kuudere character type is actually more used in Western animation than most dere types, the bluntest of the 2 being Raven from the 2003 show Teen Titans. But let's be real, is there anything I can say about Raven that hasn't already been portrayed or said in visual fan media? No! On this channel, we never go with the most obvious choice for a review. Instead, we're going to be talking about the most obvious choice, Daria. I should preface this by saying until this review, I actually hadn't seen an episode of the show before. I've only ever seen it from word of mouth or other shows that have referenced it. But from what I can gather, Daria started out as a side character in the show Beavis and Butthead, which would make Daria a Planet Sheen type situation. You know the one, where a studio decides to cash in on the popularity of a side character, so they demand a full series starring solely them. And as history has shown us, this is never a good idea. Especially when these side series don't have the creators involved and are purely made as a low-quality, minimal-effort cash grab. However, from what I've seen, Daria seems to break the spin-off curse. It was well received by fans and critics alike, and it lasted 5 whole seasons. And even to this day, it's still being brought up by other shows and media. What's more is that Mike Judge, the creator of Beavis and Butthead as well as King of the Hill, had absolutely no involvement in the show. So, despite such odds, the show seemed to pull off what all spin-offs before and after it could not. With that being said, you might be wondering what this all has to do with the topic of today's review. Well, you see, this series starts the dry, intellectual, cynical Daria, a character who's often portrayed as being very cold and stoic, but as the series goes on, we see that there's much more to her than her appearance lets on. And from that, it's quite clear that Daria fits the description of a Kuudere quite well. And what better episode to showcase this than the show's very own Valentine's Day special? Sort of. You'll see what I mean. Alright, without further ado, let's get started. This is Daria, Depth Takes a Holiday. The episode begins with Daria and her friend Jane complaining about the holiday season, with stores already preparing for Christmas despite it being only August. A joke that I'm sure we couldn't possibly relate to in this day and age. On her way home, Daria runs into 2 people claiming to be the spirits of Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day. They claim that they came to her town to track down 3 holiday spirits who left their realm to start a band. And it's painfully obvious where this is going. It's just going to be a full episode where these 2 characters keep pestering Daria about their problem, and it'll be left up to the viewer's interpretation whether or not they were really holidays or just crazy people. I've seen this setup before, and frankly, I'm not impressed.
Did she give us up?
I can't tell, dude. Her parents are all like blah blah.
So, yeah. As it turns out, they reveal that they were telling the truth very early on. Gotta say, I was not expecting that at all. But okay, from here the episode is rather predictable. Now that Daria knows the truth, we are going to see them searching all around town for the rest of the episode trying to track down the missing holiday.
They're coming over to jam.
What?
Yeah.
Yo.
Oh. I guess the holidays just show up. But now we know what's really gonna happen. Daria's gonna spend the whole episode trying to talk the holidays back into returning from where they came from.
I'm sorry, but I can't help you. If they don't want to go back to Holiday Island, I support their choice.
Okay, credit where credit's due. This episode is not like what I was expecting so far. Every time I think I know where the plot's going, it just throws a curveball. And just as a frame of reference, everything I described was shown in the first 6 minutes of the episode. That is how fast the plot is moving along, and look, I really love that. The show does not drag on longer than it should, and on top of its creative plot direction, each scene is packed full of some amazing dry humor. And if I hadn't learned that Mike Judge didn't work on the show, then I would have fully believed he did. This show replicates his sense of dry humor perfectly. Only due to its scenario, it's much more cynical and angsty than his other works. But, you know, that type of humor works really well here, and especially with these characters. I mean, Daria's stoic demeanor and sarcastic tone are very contagious. When I first started researching for this review, I was worried that I really wasn't going to like its main character. I mean, the initial feeling I got was that the character's angst was going to come off as very pretentious and annoying, yet the writers really nail making her feel natural and, more importantly, likable. So, sorry for going off on such a tangent when, you know, we aren't even really halfway into the episode, but in truth, as the episode hits its 6-minute mark, it dawned on me on how much I was enjoying just a small portion of the entire episode. And for that, I really need to let out praise where it is rightfully deserved, specifically because it proved wrong all of my initial concerns. The plot being predictable, the characters being pretentious, and the humor hitting way off target. All of these concerns were done away with, and now I could just sit back and enjoy the ride. The two holidays gave it one last attempt to convince Daria that the world is in desperate need of holiday joy.
Kids are too materialistic anyway.
Damn it.
Which, as you can see, it didn't work out as planned. Instead, Daria lets the three holidays, Christmas, Halloween, and Guy Fawkes Day, crash at her house. But she quickly realizes how annoying they are to have around all the time. So in a very quick heel turn, she agrees to help send them back to where they belong. The two holidays take her to Holiday Island, or more accurately, it's high school. Think of it as Clone High, but instead of clones of famous people, it's teenage versions of holidays. And if I had one issue with this episode, it would have to be here. You see, this segment of the episode showcases that Holiday High has a social order ranking each of the holidays. But the thing is, this never really gets explored. I mean, we get a couple of jokes, but that's it. There's definitely a lot of untapped potential here, as Clone High has shown us, so it's a shame that this scene gets quickly skimmed over. I am a fan of the fast pace of the episode, but this scene getting skimmed over feels very tragic when they had so many possibilities here. In any case, Daria gets the idea to have their band play at their conveniently timed school prom. After a lot of bickering and back and forth, they finally play at the prom, agree to stay in Holiday Island, and we learn the true meaning of the holidays.
This is the best Christmas, Halloween, Valentine, St. Patrick's, President's, and Guy Fawkes Day ever.
Daria saved the day, and everything went back to the way it was. And that was Daria, Depp Takes a Holiday. Though it seems like a quick summary of the episode, but that's due to how fast-paced it was. It also helps that I did completely skip the B-plot of the episode. Cupid makes Daria's parents fall madly in love with each other, and Daria's sister tries to prevent them from having another baby. The scenario isn't all that interesting, and honestly, I really didn't care for the sister at all, so they weren't really worth mentioning. Though, the only good part about the B-plot is how their love spell gets broken at the end.
You're pregnant?
All in all, this really was a fun episode, and if anything is to go by here, I see how Daria ended up succeeding where many other spin-offs failed. Even without Mike Judge working on it, the show seems to have a good grasp on its style of comedy. It doesn't feel like a soulless cash grab, and this feels like a genuine attempt to give fans a proper show featuring a character they wanted to see more of. And I can safely say that they exceeded in doing so, even might as go far as to say with flying colors. I think it might be it for this review, but I don't think I'm done with Daria quite yet. As I've said before, I hadn't seen a single episode of the show until this review, and now that I have, I think I'll take up more episodes of the series. Then, I can give the show a more proper review with more in-depth points. But, for now, I hope you have a great Valentine's Day, and I hope you like the topic we chose. Who knows what next year holds? There might even be another pandemic. But if you have any suggestions, then be sure to leave them in the comments below. Also, be sure to subscribe as that helps the content we make. And liking the video helps us reach out to new fans to share these reviews with. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.